What is going on, everyone? In today's video, we are going to be doing our final prediction for the Premier League with the table here on Tier Maker. Now, I do believe this is going to be one of the best seasons. We're going to start from relegation and work our way all the way up to the champions, which, if you've been following this page, you probably know who I'm going to be picking here. But like I said, we're going to start with relegation. Now, through this video, we will be talking about the teams, why they're in these positions. Now, I think this year there's a possibility that two of the three teams will stay up, if not all three teams, which again seems quite remarkable to say. I do think that might be a little ballsy to say, but that being said, let's jump into it. Now, there are a few different teams I do believe that will be in the relegation battle. Now, I do believe West Ham will be there. I believe Brentford will be there. I do believe Sunderland and Burnley are going to be kind of the teams fighting in the relegation. I understand only three teams get relegated. We're going to talk about these four teams here, and if not, Crystal Palace. So five teams I do believe will be battling for it. Now, the reason why we're going to put Crystal Palace here is because of the Conference League they got pushed down into with all the traveling, playing those Thursday games, and then traveling to then Saturday, Sunday matches is going to be very difficult. Right now, Crystal Palace don't really have the depth to play in both the Conference League and the Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup, and we're also looking, they may be selling some of their players that before the season even kicks off. If that does happen, I do believe they stick in relegation, and it's a shame because just winning the Community Shield, I think, was a big stepping stone for them, and that is the only reason why I'm going to say they're going to avoid a relegation this season, but I do think they're going to be very low, despite the fact that they just beat Liverpool in the Community Shield. So then that leaves us with three or four teams here yet. Now, West Ham, I don't think Graham Potter is going to get the job done. They do have some good players, but they lost Kudos, who I think was a big part of what they were able to do last year. Jared Bowen obviously is a massive threat for them, the attacking third. But overall, I do think West Ham go down this season. I think they're one of the teams that have been in the Premier League for quite some time, but I do believe they still go down. I don't think they're going to be all the way in 20th, but I do think they'll be 18th and 19th for the most part. Brentford, though, this is the team that I also think will go down. So out of these four teams, I do believe West Ham and Brentford go down. Now, I know a lot of people are probably picking Brentford, and it makes total sense because they've lost their core attacking or midfield, along with some of the other key factors, Thomas Frank being one of them, and therefore, again, losing your manager, it's very difficult to then implement the new tactics with all these new players. Now, can they stay up? Obviously, but I do think it's going to be a lot more difficult this season for them, and therefore, like I said, I do think they are going to go down this season, and I could see them being actually in 20th position, which is quite remarkable with what we've been able to see them do so many seasons, but I think this might be the time they actually go down. So that then leaves Sunderland and Burnley, and I do believe both these teams have actually done quite well in what they've done in investment-wise. So I do think it's a little difficult to say that my difficulty here with Burnley is Scott Parker. He's done so well in the Championship, but every time he's been in the Premier League with Fulham, with anyone else, he has not done that great of a job, and I think it's going to be another issue with that with Burnley. Now, I don't think Scott Parker is going to be there all season, so I could see them making a switch at some point, and possibly they do stay up, but I do think because of that, they will stay down, and I do think Sunderland do avoid relegation, and they'll probably be sitting in 16th. And like I said, these two could probably switch, if not 16th and 17th. But the relegation battle is going to be between these three or four, five teams, and we're going to see these three teams go down. That being said, when we jump into the low mid table here, from 13th to 16th, I'm not going to say one's going to be above the other. It's just spanning across. And the reason why I say it is just because when we're looking at these teams, I don't think they have the caliber to go above all these other teams, but I'm thinking they still have the capability of being clear of the relegation zone. And I do believe Leeds does stay up this upcoming season. I think they have a great team. They obviously smashed out of the park last season in the Championship. Burnley were that close too, but like I said, I think Scott Parker is their downfall. They've made some key signings, therefore I think they can even do better than this area. They might actually push into the top 8, but let's be conservative and put them in this section. The other team I would say probably is going to be Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth right now are sitting in that position as well, and therefore again it makes sense that we will put them in that category. So that then moves us into the mid-table tiers. Now this, like I said, it's difficult because I do think this season is going to be very challenging, and when we're looking at all these teams, any one of them I think can actually, well, Wolves we know is going to go there, so let's not really put Wolves in this conversation. But out of these rest of the team here, I do think any of these teams can beat any team on any given day, which when we're saying that, that makes it very difficult to, again, pick these teams. But like I said, Wolves probably sit in this area, though I could see them drop quite a little bit lower, but I think they're going to be in that position. I am then going to put Brighton in here and also Fulham. I think this is pretty safe bet as well. I mean, Brighton could obviously go a little bit higher. They do have the caliber players, but overall, I think they do finish in this area for the most part. And I do believe Nottingham Forest do struggle as well with the extra competition with Europa. I think, again, it's going to be very difficult for them, and therefore, like I said, it's going to be a bit of a challenge to see them go all the way through this. And because of that, I think they're going to finish somewhere in this area. And Aston Villa is probably going to be the other team we are going to throw into this mix. So that leaves us with 7 teams left, I believe. So let's just make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, I do believe Tottenham and Manchester United do obviously do better than what we saw last year. And I think Tottenham, it makes most sense that we will see them in the Conference League, I think, next season in the 7th position. They are in Champions League, and yes, they have been able to recoup some very good players, but I do think they are going to struggle this year. Do I think their manager that they're bringing in could make them better? Yes, and could they push, obviously, up into the top 4? I do believe so, but when we're looking at all these other teams, I don't think they have the ability to go head-to-head with these teams. Now, that being said, then, I think Newcastle, with how poor they've been this summer in their transfer window, I think this might be very generous to put them in 5th or 6th for the most part, but I just got to put them there because I think Eddie Howe has done such a phenomenal job, and I do think there's still a possibility while we're making this video, Isak is still currently a Newcastle player. If he does move on to Liverpool, I still think Newcastle have pretty much a good core of players to, again, compete in this position. 5 and 6, I think, is the right position for them. And on top of that, I do think Manchester United go right here for them. So overall, I think so far most people are going to have these 4 teams in the top 4. I think that's pretty set for the most part. But like I said, I could see Tottenham, I could see United easily push into these areas as well. Now with the top 4, I think out of all these 4 players left, I think Arsenal are going to be the team that do struggle the most. And when I say struggle, they're going to have a few blips here and there, and they're going to drop points when they're very crucial at dropping points when they probably play Chelsea, when they play United, or when they play City, even when they play United the first opening match, and even against Liverpool. I think they're going to draw points to those teams. I then do see Manchester City taking 3rd and Liverpool taking 2nd. Now, why I'm saying that and putting Chelsea first, again, it makes sense in my head. They are a dark horse right now, but if you look at the caliber of players, despite the fact that, yes, they did pick up an injury to leave Levi Colwill, they are still a very solid team all around. I think City have lost a few key players. Rodri having some injuries yet really, again, puts them on the back burner of possibly pushing for the title again this season. The caliber of players, I don't think is fully there where they were a couple seasons ago, and that is why. And Liverpool, I think it comes down to depth. When we're looking at their CBs right now, to really only having Virgil van Dijk and Konate and Joe Gomez is a bit of a gamble. Now, obviously, they've gone out and invested heavily in the attacking third, but if they pick up an injury or something happens to that back line, they get fatigued, all the matches they play, they can clearly get overrun, and we just saw them lose to Crystal Palace in the Community Shield, and yes, you could say it is a friendly, but Crystal Palace really went toe-to-toe with them and actually shined quite well, and obviously beat them, and therefore, again, that is just proving that any team can beat Liverpool this upcoming season. Will it be difficult? Yes. Will all 4 of these teams be in the title race? I do believe so, but in my gut, I do believe Chelsea are the best team going into this season because they have such a young squad. Enzo Maresca, the manager, has won multiple trophies now with Chelsea, has this team playing so well, and the amount of players we brought in, the quality of players that were brought in, really just makes Chelsea a different breed because we have so many different ways to attack and so many different ways to defend. We obviously have some of the best players in certain positions, and therefore I think Chelsea has the capability of really doing something special this year and winning the Premier League, and if not, possibly another title as well. I could see them easily doing a double this season. Now, maybe they don't lift anything at all, but I do think they are, in my opinion, a possibility to win the Premier League this season, and I do believe this will be one of the best Premier League seasons in the last handful of seasons. I do feel sorry for these 3 teams getting relegated, but overall I think every team has a possibility of pushing up higher and obviously could drop lower, but overall this is what I do believe will happen this season. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe down below, and I will see you in the next video.